their abilities are fascinating. So that's why we created this opportunity and this platform for LightStar and Shakara today. It's a wonderful time now for us to hear a little bit more about what LightStar has to say in her work. What I've observed is that it's taken her years to integrate the different ones, and she knows the origins and sources of them. And so when she speaks, each light language is different. And she's worked on it through the years. And Shakara has been getting downloads every morning forever and has been writing about them. Both of them are dear friends, and both of them are very dialed in. The thing is, they're just way showers for what's coming next for all of us, because they're just in touch with their interdimensional aspects. But we'll start with LightStar, just saying briefly what she does, and then 20 minutes of presentation with an activation, and then we'll go to Shakara to do the same thing, the same amount of time, and then they're going to do a co-activation, just briefly, just to bring in the light language, and then we'll go into Q&A.
Welcome everybody, I'm LightStar, and I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Adrian, and everybody that has been a part of this. Really honored to be here today doing an activation. So we're going to activate you guys in many different ways. Shakara and I are dear friends, and we do activations differently, but I'm just going to give you a little brief overview of who I am and how I got to be doing this kind of work. So basically, I've been speaking light language since I was 9, but I did not know it was light language at 9 years old. Had no idea what it was. I just knew I was speaking this language, and it just flowed through my life. But at some point, like a lot of us that get intuitive, we're super intuitive and empathic as a child, and then what do? We dial it down. We dumb ourselves down because we're afraid of what other people are going to think of us. We're wide open, receiving all this input from everyone, and it's overwhelming, so we turn the dial down. And that is what I did for most of my life. So I was actually in hiding, I would say, or asleep as I woke up very early in life. The lights went on, I was seeing auras as I was very young, but again, the overwhelm came in and I shut it all down for a long time. I was in a corporate environment for most of my work environment, okay? So I worked in forensic engineering, construction, all sorts of computer, software engineering, all sorts of other industries, not spiritually related, although I was very spiritually based, but I was definitely in a very corporate environment. I feel like that served me in a lot of ways, but it also kept me from doing the spiritual work for a really long time. So as we all go through life and we get these little messages that back in 2019, or 2009, I'm sorry, is when the market crashed. Y'all remember that? When everything just crashed, kind of like it is now. But then it crashed. And at that time, I was really getting the message I needed to get on my spiritual path. I needed to do my work. Didn't know exactly what that meant, but I took a risk and just, flew, and took off and left the corporate world and ended up, a long story short, in Sedona, right? Sedona is a place where I think a lot of us open up our gifts here. This is where we get the intuition, the creativity, and I was working as marketing consultant and doing marketing in all of my work, but I wasn't really doing the spiritual work as far as art is concerned. So as I came into Sedona, my intuitive gifts started opening up. I started to do a lot of readings and things that I had never done before, and my art started opening up. I was getting codes, and I was seeing symbols, and I was getting communication with other worldly beings, and it's like everything, just like a doorway opened up, a gateway just opened up wide, really wide, and all this information flooded in. And so it's taken me probably years of integration through the process to come and bring those codes through my art, to bring the other worldly beings into my art world. So my artwork actually couples real beings, okay, real worlds depicted as well with the languages and symbols and glyphs and activation. And so I started to do, back to the light language, 9 years old, then I started to have all sorts of downloads for all these other languages coming through. And I would record them. I didn't know I was getting it was like a 2-week period. I was just getting download, in the shower, all these weird places, like in the car, in the shower. And so I started to integrate these different languages. And it was important to me, for myself, to kind of know where their energies were coming in because there were so many of them. So I wanted to have, spend some time with it, integrate with it, okay? So I got about 20 plus languages that are downloaded into my energy field and that I utilize them for different things. I have created a whole light language chakra clearing based upon this. So it's important to know, for me, where the languages were coming from, but then they started to activate in different chakras. And then I was getting the information about which language was activating what chakra, and it was really interesting. So all these things started to culminate together. And what I want to get across, and both of us are going to share some things about light language, what it is, because we want to know, what is this language? What is it all about? And I think for all of us doing this kind of work, when it first starts to come in and we start to do our work, it's like the first thing people are going to want to know is, what the heck are you doing? What are you saying? What is this energy? What is this language? Now, I think we would all agree that light language is an energy language. It's from the heart. Some of them are actually languages, though, but some of them are transmissions. And the transmissions come through from different streams of energy, and they're all very unique, okay? So some of them that I'll do, that I'm going to do, is transmission. And some of them are actual languages. So when you bring through light language, or language of light, or galactic language, or universal galactic language, however you guys want to experience the words of it, because there's all different terms for it, it's actually a very vibrational energy that will shift your physical body, okay? It will also shift your DNA, inside the DNA. Yes, the language, the vibration goes through to the core of your cellular structure. And that is why when people are hearing light language or experience it in your body, you'll see people like, you ever seen this, where people start twitching or like this, just kind of moving a little bit? It's not that people have tics or, crazy stuff. It's really about the fact that their body is integrating that frequency that's coming through, and it's integrating. And when it integrates, it shifts your body, your physical form. And so as this does, it either upgrades, it either activates, it can be awakening for those people that are just awakening. It can be kind of, a dramatic awakening. But what I've seen over the course of time of doing this in my session work and doing this also for people is that everybody gets it a little bit different, okay? So it's uniquely going to be downloaded into your body, your frequency, your codes, your DNA, a slight bit different. And some people might actually get translations that come through, and that's perfectly fine, but you have to realize that the next person sitting next to you might get a different translation from that same language, or that same activation, or the same transmission, because it's very unique when it goes through. And from what I've understood too with this is that light language has the ability for one phrase can have volumes of information, volumes of data, volumes of download that can be present in that one little. So it's not like English or French or German or any one of those things. It's going to be more, like I said, it's more like an energy language. It's going to translate different. It's not to be necessarily downloaded as straight English, French, German in that way. It's going to translate. Sometimes it does translate into the English, French, German, whatever. But generally speaking, it's going to be a very strong energy force that comes through, goes through your body, does whatever it needs to do, and shifts whatever it needs to shift. And everybody is also utilizing this a little bit different. So you'll see some people that are doing activations with their light language. You'll see people that may be doing blessings with their language. And these are just some of the ways that you can utilize language in your own life or in session work, like myself and Shakara. We do session work with the light language as well in our own ways. But it comes through in this uniquely for everybody, a little bit different. And as far as light tech as well, I want to touch upon that because I know that Anita is all about the light tech. And it's funny that that term comes up because I don't know, it's kind of like about a month ago, just recently, I had a dream that was telling me I have these fleece blankets that I have that have my artwork on it. And I was downloading that this is light technology in my dream. They were showing me the blankets were light technology. And I was like, well, that's interesting because I hadn't necessarily termed it as that. But when I started to review a lot of things that people would say about my artwork coming through and then having these profound experiences of healing, okay? So like technology and also healing through the actual artwork. So then I started to realize with all of this happening, like I said, the beings that come through my artwork are actual beings. It's not just a depiction of a pretty picture of a nice place. It is that. But there's more to it than that. There's layers and layers in the artwork that I do, that Shakara does. It's layers of information that comes through, and these are beings that will come through. So the light technology can be displayed in different ways, and it can come out in different ways. But one way I can tell, my beloved also had a profound experience with one of my cellular intelligence images where he was in severe pain and he didn't know what to do, and I wasn't even around. And he went over to the actual image, the cellular intelligence. It was this huge blanket we had on the wall. And he actually communicated with the being, and the being came literally out of the image, etherically and in real time for him, and did healing on him. He was like blown away because it immediately stopped. And I can say that same image also helped my mother to cross over, okay? It's just some things that I've noticed about the art. So these are light technology. This is healing energy, and there's codes and symbols embedded into the energies of the light technology blankets, of my artwork, of my symbols, the codes, and all that kind of good stuff, okay? So, but I've also been downloading some new information that has been coming through with the symbols and codes that I draw. I'm also getting activations to do this live, okay, in the air. I would say it's almost like you have a tablet in the air, okay? And that's what I'm going to do for you guys so that you can get an experience of what's coming through with the code. So what is going to happen here with this is I'm going to do a light language that's going to come through. I want you all to put your mind off to the side, okay? So you're going to just put your mind off to the side. The critical mind, the analytical mind will not really get what's going on, but your body and your mind will, okay? And your mind and the intuitive mind. So your intuitive self will know what's going on. So what I'm going to also do is I'm going to be drawing these symbols and codes like in the air, but like, I don't know, there's a lot of people that have seen that movie, Doctor Strange, okay? So if you're familiar with the movie Doctor Strange, how he creates these vortexes of energy that's actually real. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real and it's not there. And so I think we all have the ability to create this energy. And so the codes I'm going to be drawing are going to create a certain energy structure, if you will. Symbols and codes with the light language, and they're going to go out in frequencies to all of you. Okay, even in the cyber world, if this is going to be transmitted later on, those codes will still be active later. It's like they come and hover in front of you, and you give your permission to let those codes come in, and it knows. It's like an intelligence. It has an intelligence. It knows what you need, what you want, what you will and will not let in, because it's up to you, right? If you want to allow whatever to come in and receive whatever comes through. So that's what I'm going to do right now, okay? So why don't you guys just relax, everybody, when you're wherever you are, taking a nice deep breath in, getting centered and balanced into your center point, into your core, bringing your higher self as well. I always like to have people bring their higher selves present, and to bring all your angels and your spiritual guides and all the beings that you work with as well around you, and set that mind off to the side just for now, okay? And just receive whatever comes through. And this may go into a few different things, but just there's going to be some multi-dimensional codes coming through here. All right, so everybody take a breath in. Wainia sanimna tari, dain soyani si nyanya to nyana to. Sainana yuanari hinio donondo sone kimi nyana tani. Sirini yana toriana na saya, hai mai kai wai, naya sainai tuyana, seni haini unai se. Sini shini sani, uni kwaini te insainas, anasani ninia koyana. Suriya shono na time kuya te se neo sona hami ishu.
You okay? Pretty bird.
You pasumnia tirenia nanaiso nana sai hinu wai tewa. Sale shila nasatai ikiwe nesa unshe.
My name is Shakara Tosha, and I was given that name by the Star People. They told me to walk with that name, and I would really integrate my higher self, every aspect of myself here. So there's that, and my spirit name is Wichakpe Tosha Washtewi. That was given to me by the Lakota chief who just passed, Chief Golden Light Eagle, that I did a lot of work with. So I just want to honor my sister here. Thank you so much for that beautiful sharing. And what I want to mention before I get into my stuff is what's so interesting is when I met LightStar, same with Astara, and many of you, there was an immediate connection. So, you know, we're all drawn to each other because of the law of attraction. And what's, I think, kind of unusual about us is that we speak many languages. So usually when people, a lot of people that are getting activated or doing something, they speak one language, or they do one script, or one mudra, or one dance, or something like that. But we do that, plus we're both artists, so we do the codes, we do the drawings. She does the Star People, which is amazing. Every time I've seen her work, you know, I resonate with that. I feel that energy. So I think what she was talking about with her work is the energy of these divinities, these star people, these are actually aspects of ourself that we're all connected to, but they come through the art and the work and the communication. So thank you, I felt that. I was feeling Arcturian, definitely. So I love her because she's just being her. So what's really interesting is light language means many different things to many people. You know, in my own story, I came in pretty much awake and aware when I was very little. When I was about 3 years old, my aunt brought a teepee back to the Midwest. I was 3, and from out west here, and I just stayed in the teepee and I started chanting and doing mudras and all this stuff. And my sister would look in and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm talking to the spirits, you know. And so my mom was an artist, and she was a twin, and they would telepath with each other. So I didn't learn to talk. My sisters were gone, my 3 older sisters. My dad was working. My mom was always making art at home, and her sister would come over and they, you know, talk like this all day. So that's what I learned. And she had a studio in the home, and I would just make art before breakfast. I mean, art was like a really natural thing, right? Dance or something. And then all of a sudden, when I was little, I saw star people come in. I saw these Arcturians come in my room very often. They would come visit, and they'd be like little people, little kids, and they would move my dolls. And just really very, very phenomenal things would happen that I'll get into later. But they said, you came here with a mission and you're going to help people somehow through your work, through your art, whatever. And when I was about 3.5, I remember going out in my front yard, lying down and looking down, and I still had like diapers and a little shirt on, and looking up, and my arms went like this, and I was lying on the ground, and I saw light coming back and forth between my hands and circling around my body. And then I heard this big voice, and I saw this beam of light that I think is related to the Shakara, or this, I don't know, higher aspect of me, or somebody, maybe chief, I don't know, somebody came in, that said in your 20s and 30s, your life is going to be very hard. In your 40s and 50s, you're going to understand who you are and your mission. So get up, go play, and forget about all this. So I said, yeah, okay. So long story short, I was making art and symbols in my paintings since I was little. I didn't understand it. Then in my teen and 20 years, I was doing codes and code, books and books of code, just script over and over again. It was really relaxing to me. I had no idea, and I found them later. There were like 20 of them with just this galactic language. And then, long story short, I was in New York, like LightStar. Both did corporate work. I was a web producer. I worked at top 500 companies. I was a project manager, event planner, et cetera, all that stuff in New York, in the art world, financial, spiritual world, everything. And then all of a sudden, I started getting these codes. I started drawing symbols and codes. And I found Chief Golden Light Eagle online, who, if you don't know who he is, please look for him. Really, probably one of the most important people walking in the world, and a huge influence on me. And he was doing star codes. He wrote these 1111 symbol book, and brought in these codes and messages with groups of people about this time in humanity. And so I said to my daughter, we have to find this chief. So long story short, we went from New York to Palm Springs, and he was doing these big star knowledge conferences. This is where I met Astara. And it was just fascinating. People talking about Knights Templars, everything I was interested in, Sasquatch and the whales and everything, and elders. I mean, it was just amazing. So we moved later, we went back to New York and stayed with him, moved out with his family in Wisconsin. And we started doing sweat lodges and ceremony. He's a Sundance leader, so I'm a 4-year Sundancer, which is quite challenging, doing vision quests and all that. And so there's this whole spiritual component that I have in the ceremony. So when I do my light language, like Star said, everybody does it a little bit differently. But what started happening to me when I worked with him, he said, you're going to write a book about creation because you're going to bring in some codes. And I said, I'm dyslexic, I don't do this. So all of a sudden, right after that, I started seeing star people right before I went to sleep around me. So I see them, I know a lot of you do, and they're just with glitter. And then I get these messages, and I'd have my phone at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they'd wake me up on time codes, and I'd start downloading and typing all this stuff. And my partner and I, my beloved, who is my sounding board for all of this, we calculated with all the notes that I've downloaded, like 7 hours every day for 7 years. I probably have 800 books worth of 300 pages each. I mean, it is the Akashic, it's crazy. And so it's coming in codes and symbols and drawings, and now I'm getting messages and I'm courses, and I mean, just like, I don't know what to do. I was so overwhelmed. So we went for 2 years, right at the end of 2019, I think, out to Wisconsin and lived off grid. I talked to 3 people for 2 years. I mean, just talked to nature, tuned in and everything, and I was still getting these messages, and so I'm now putting them together in stuff, in books and whatever, some tangible things. So when you were talking about light tools, technology is really interesting because I've been told that I am Arcturian, so this is what we look like, Pleiadian, Tau Ceti, you know, I mean, we've got so much of this in us. So this is what I want to shift to. Like LightStar said, everybody does this light language a little bit differently. So I'm just being moved by spirit now. I've been in Sedona on and off about 3 years, but in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, I've lived 30 places. I'm completely nomad, you know, really. And so I'm just going where I'm supposed to go. And what's happening to me is I download and upload codes from each location. So I'm writing all these books about all these experiences and everything. So there's no coincidence that we're all here together because we're all connected. We're all family. We are the star people coming back together. So this is the key message that I keep getting over and over again. So I get a message and I speak light language, and then I have an understanding about it. So like she said, it's not a translation, it's a vibration. So I see holographic pictures, I'll feel different things, but I'm understanding deeply that this light language is a code activation. So like she was saying, sorry, this is really hard for me to do because I haven't done this for a while. There's so many spirits and energy and light people here right now. It's like really, it's a lot. So without further ado, I want to share a little bit of the languages that come through me. And some of them are star languages, some of them are vibrational sequences. But what I've been shown, my specific message and mission, messenger, is to awaken that inside of you so that you guys can find this in yourself and rearrange your own DNA and do your gifts. So this is why we're all here. So I'm not any better, different, other than you. You know, everybody has this ability. Everybody has this need, and we came here to help each other. So I'll just bring in some messages, and I do journeys and activations and healings and stuff, but this is really more just a quick off the cuff kind of thing. So, okay. Shakara Tosha Shakara Tosha. Suma tu la kine na washante, ikatu washande wa samanu la kainene na washante. Ibuju stingir wa saminu wa shadnine na wasanka. And na kutu stingir wa saminu wa shanki. Ikutu la kaima muono of sukotu stingir wa sanin washante buolaka. Ninuasha, nemo sa etu stingir wa saminu wa shanke to wasinge. Mana o sukotu stingir wa sanin wa shanko la kine wa shanin wa sankutu shinki. Anta do komu no shiki nene wa shamputu saki nene wa shandu la kai nene wa shampute seketo do shingi wa sanene wa shante. Anti sukoto shingi wa sanene wa shanko la kai nene wa shamote se ana o su to shiki wa sanene wa shambu sa akite den wa shambu la kai nene wa shante te se. Ana uto ai nene na washine na wakola kaititi do washene na wasaposte. Again na washambo do wakine washante did washanke o ne sekoto did do stingi do wasane motion oda kaititi na washambo ne se. Ana osuko to shingi isa bo shakaina no washante do wasingi do wasante. Kiti do washinu sa. No, so, just like LightStar said, some of those are star languages, some of them are vibrational sequences. So, I just want to mention what happens is when these guides come, I'm shown it's not really a channeling like a being comes outside and speaks through you. It's aspect of me. This is an aspect of you. So this is why I was speaking so many languages, because I'm feeling the pulses of each one of you. Ama o soko to shingira wasamana sakina washante to wasinge musa ti shikoto singira wasamu mola ka ni abdu do shingira wasamu like no sako to sen no sako to shik. So it's like speaking your language, but you're doing it through me and your higher self, and we're partnering in time. So this is what I want to wrap up with. There's so much to say. I'm starting to roll out all these books on all these different topics, the body system, light language, energy, frequency, how these things are working. But, you know, the most important thing for me is to really give people hope right now. Okay, so this is a really, really crazy time. You know, everything is being jostled. Everything is being butted up against each other. And this is part of this process of this awakening. So this is what this ascension time is really about, is truly becoming fully spiritual and fully physical. What I'm seeing is our higher selves are coming into the physical as our star aspects. So we're all coded from all these different star systems. This is why there's so much pressure on us right now as human beings to stay suppressed. And so when you talk about like technology, I think of technology as tools. I've worked in technology for a long time. A lot of times I think of it as devices. But there are devices. Your body is technology. This is your GPS system. There's so much that you can do that you don't know. You can fly. Right now, you can fly. But we've been talked out of it. You can move things with your hand. You can heal. You can, I mean, there's so much going on in this world right now that you can do, but it's being suppressed. But you know this. So this time is about remembering and integrating all that you have been and all that you are. So you've been many people, many lifetimes, many star people. You've been rocks, water, seeds. You can talk to anything, and you can listen and hear and speak a common language if you find that common language. So what I want to share is the earth is ascending. You know, many people talk about coming up to the 5th dimension. I think we're already in the 13th consciously, and we're kind of working that out. It's really weird. It's really important to find a way to walk in the 3D world, take care of your physical responsibilities while you're doing your journeying work, while you're doing, find this balance. So there is an upshift that's already happened. If time doesn't exist in other dimensions, we're starting to shift into a higher consciousness where we can operate differently. So telepathy is another kind of technology. As I started working with the internet, I realized these devices are a precursor to learning technology, right? So they're bridging us in time and space, outside of time and space with each other. I'm not really here. I'm not really here. You guys are creating me. You're creating this reality at every moment. So we see each other as distinct individuals because we're carrying this vibration of uniqueness. So each one of you has something important to do, has something important to say, and something important to figure out in your own life, but share with the world. So this light language is really interesting. So many people are doing it now. I mean, it's just spontaneously, like in the last 2 years, all of a sudden it's everywhere. And what's so fascinating to me is I think because people are getting to a point where they're not thinking so literally. So much is going on in your body right now that you don't even, maybe you do understand, but I don't understand it. Our DNA is being restructured. Light is coming in, but everything is light. Your DNA is light. Everything is codes. Everything is information. Everything is changing, being upgraded. It's just a movement of energy. So this is the time for us to decide what we want to do. So a lot of people are checking out right now. They don't want to be here. It's really hard. As we both know, as star people, you come in and it's like, wow, I had no idea this was going to happen. Who signed me up for this? Oh, me. So you got to navigate these worlds, and we all have ups and downs. Our emotions, our endocrine system, everything is frequency. So the key is, how do you balance your responses to things as you're going through the day? Somebody triggers you off, something happens, if you don't let that get in your field, you can actually look at it as an experience, as a life experience. And wow, my higher self, what I have been shown is my higher self brought that person to me to show me something about myself. If there's anything that bothers me about another person, it's something that I have to figure out. So this is one of the things, a beautiful teaching I learned from Chief is about free will. Arcturian universal law of free will is that we have, within the respect of each other, there is a free will. There's a movement of free will and understanding that anything is possible. But when you really respect another person, you respect their space, you respect how they express themselves. You know, everything that Martin Luther King talked about is just honoring, I guess, honoring people's differences, which is what we are being talked out of in this society. It's really, really challenging. So you've got these two opposing forces. But what I'm seeing, what my guides have shown me recently, is everything is changing. So each being, each energy that was in the world to cause us friction is there to help us break out of it. So we were talking about the matrix the other day, and I had this aha moment 2 days ago. Everybody is the matrix. Each person is their own matrix. You know, you absorb these things that you learn from your family, and then you take it on, and then what people tell you and what people think you are, you know, and realize, like, it's all story. It's all a story. So what do? I think one of the most important things, especially here in Sedona, there is such a big movement happening in Sedona right now, of energy kind of coming back together. There's crystalline structures and water underneath here. The rocks have iron that are activating, you know, your energies. For those of you who haven't been to Sedona, please come, because it's important to be here at some point. But we're awakening, you know. So everything is happening right now. Time doesn't exist. I mean, it does in this dimension. There are partitions of time. And there's so much I want to say, you know, I don't even know where to start. But, okay, so I'll say one more thing in light language. And take this as you will. Do with it what you wish. But understand that there are beings and guardians and guides that walk with each one of you. Okay, so these guides that came in, I have hundreds of them. Like LightStar, there's a dragon guide, there's Sasquatch. Sasquatch are star people, by the way. I've seen them in the physical, I talk to them. In the physical, I see the moving trees and building stuff, and they're real. They're real, like fairies, dragons. Dragons are very real. You know, all that stuff, anything, this is what I say to my partner, anything that feels real, you know, is not. This is what's been happening the last couple of days. In my dream time feels more real than the physical. I don't know if any of you have been experiencing this, but we're doing this big flip-flop. So, all this to say, hang in there. You know, this is a bumpy ride, but there is so much more that is going to come from these changes in the world. Huge. And we have to do it together. We have to do it together. And just keep expressing your gifts, be kind to each other, etc., etc. But this is the last message I'll leave you with. Sumatu shikita dua samanua sanke. Ela kaite dua stingena samatuosa. Mamosa kite dua shinenwa samato. Kute nenwa shamate nenwa shukutese. Imate usukatu shinkite dua sangenwa shamatase. Una akete dua shana sukutusi. Thank you very much for letting me share that.
So, what we decided to do today, this is just a spontaneous thing, but we were getting the download, the call to do a sort of an activation together as our little co-creative thing here. So what, I don't know, I'm kind of feeling like I could stand on that side. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't know why. This is like,
Yeah,
I don't
this
know.
is my,
it's like,
my side. So.
it's my side,
Yeah.
your side. So this is like, we did this one event long time ago, many years ago, that we had about 5 different light language practitioners all in one doing activations, and it was really powerful. It was like a circle that Tolek put on.
That we spontaneously just did.
Spontaneously, we're not going to do necessarily that, but
Yeah.
we spontaneously did. It was really interesting. We were all like, it was one voice between 5 different people. It was very cool. But I think we were just wanting to do a little activation between the two of us for all of you.
Yeah.
Okay? You guys ready? All right.
This is how co-collaboration and co-creation works.
This is what I want to say though. Okay, this is, you guys are experiencing a new language for me. Okay, so I just was getting the download to do it, but it started coming in last year, at the end of the year, And I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but it's just coming in right now, so I'm just gonna do that, and
Yeah.
then we'll just go.
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
new stuff. We're changing the flow all the time. It's really
fun.
interesting. Yeah.
It's really fun. Okay. Besto badapat mat mas mata. Bestipiti pat pishtu padatana abastotupa. Bestipiti shuptaban tapat pashmanapatakma. Biti supatash piti tu supatashi piti mata.
Tala asu katua shinge. Mama o sa katua stinge mua sa ketetua shimeno wasa.
Ishupat nata bastatupa. Subarash pipatin de tipet about pasapata.
Tala kaina.
Este pachito super samta pish patatim ptar patakanta paspo. Subarash piti te piatrama papa tarbushkum tarapi piananta.
Shakaite nino shantes.
Ishupatana papa party peep nana pata sot. Mototo sombata pip mente pipa tataroso papa mierto papa. Supadesh pitine pa pana to sopatam pi piash pataramatas pa piatron.
Segundo o shinge no sane no shampoo da kai kiki tu o stinge bo sane. Again, nino shanka lo ko to shinge no sama mo kataite do stinge da.
Masa pupuani piti. Matu pasapita manapas. Patira matana. That was awesome.
It was awesome.
That was cool. Okay, so I just want to share a little bit about why, because this 2017. How many of you guys remember the I think it was September 23rd, 2017. The constellations in the heavens in Virgo constellation. There was a super weird lineup that hasn't happened in 7,000 years.
Yeah.
Around that time, there's a star in Virgo called Spica. Okay, Spica. I always say
Yeah,
Spica,
Spica.
but these are the beings that start to kind of come through that at that time. I'm just saying that was a marker for. I'm not saying they didn't exist before then, but by the time it downloaded to me, it's how long it actually takes in my vibration. But by the time it downloaded was just in like November, December of last year. So it takes a while sometimes when they like come through, but this is like a new vibration, and I felt that they were saying that Virgo constellation is very significant, and there's not very many Spicas here. Like as far as starseeds, it's kind of a rare one.
Yeah.
So it's not like one that I have seen that many of when I do soul origins or star origins. I don't see that many of them coming through, but I feel like they are starting to come through more, okay, because of that birthing that happened in Virgo. So you can look it up if you guys are interested in that, but it was very line up on the sun was on Virgo's shoulder, the moon was on her feet, there was a Jupiter in her womb space, and it was moving and all sorts of interesting things happened. So that was just something that I wanted to come through and share with her light language. So we were like doing this little activation together.
The same thing is happening with me. Beings from Cygnus.
Oh yeah,
All
yeah.
these star systems are showing me names and places that I've never heard before. It's not the regular 20,
norm,
you know,
yeah, the
norm.
norm.
And so what I'm seeing is they're here. Okay, they're here physically. They're here through us.
Mm-hmm.
So not just as channels, they're integrating with us, and they want to show themselves. You know, so I look at the rocks, the red rocks, and I'll just stare for hours, and I'll see faces come through and energies come through, and you know, it's around. So be ready, because this is happening more and more and more with people. So this shift, what you're talking about, there's a whole new energy going on right now. So if you stay in a high vibration, I think, and just be happy, just do what, you know, feels right to you, and each choice point, everything will make sense. You know, we're all working through it, but these understandings are opening up really, really fast, and these new beings that are coming through.
And I think we're awakening like at rapid warp speed.
Yeah.
So if you guys aren't sure that we're in the Aquarian age, we're in the Aquarian age, okay? Now, Aquarian age, granted, it takes about 50 years of transition.
Yeah.
So in my view, everybody that was born in the 60s, you guys were for sure for sure the ones that are like the way showers of the Aquarian age. I'm not saying that it wasn't before or after, but that people in that decade, Flower Child, right? You know, the 60s, like that was all that energy of bringing through this Aquarian age. It takes a while though, right, for these ages to kind of transition. And what are we seeing? Things crumbling and falling away. Why? Because the new vibration is wanting to birth itself, and we have to let that old stuff go away. So if we keep ourselves in our heart, right, that's the upliftment. We keep ourselves here, inner world, here, not out there, here. Even though we are in the world, but we are not of the world, right? We are of our worlds, right? The energizing
One of the
worlds,
many worlds.
the many worlds of the star realms, the elementals, the fairies. We love them too. The dragons.
That's the thing. They're all connected, and we all are connected to all of them. There really is just source.
Yeah.
You know, differentiating itself in all these experiences. And it's so important to understand that you can connect with everything. And this is why we're all here. We have a purpose. And, you know, when I do client sessions, people say, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what this world is going to look like. And I said, how do you want to shape it? You know, I think so many people get stuck in what life has been, even, you know, in the spiritual realms and different communities and different life. It's like they can't imagine it could be so different. But it is. It can be as different as you want it to be. So this is really your choice point. How you want to live your life, how you want to experience things. But I just say stay happy. You know, you're going to have ups and downs and everything is good, but stay happy.
That I felt when different things were spoken immediately. And then sometimes I just start going like this. You know, it's like so tangible, palpable, real.
LightStar, is that right?
Yes.
So when you were doing your work, you were in a state. You were out of your mind, out of your body.
Out of my mind.
And
You're out
what
of
was
your mind.
interesting, when I did the time thing, you did this big ripple that took 30, 40 seconds because your sensing went to time, and then you went back, but it took about 30 seconds. It was interesting to watch. It took you right out of your state to think about, oh, what is time?
Yeah, and I was telling them ahead of time, I said, I go completely out. I don't have can't keep track of time. They have a completely different concept of time when you're, you know, doing your work in the higher state. And I say they because I'm like Shakara. I don't it's like the energies does channel for me. It does come through. We're all channeling, right? Everything we do, our artwork, our music. I do music now. So all this stuff is being channeled, but it's not like we're going out of body and we're trans-channeling. We're totally present and the channel's coming through. So when I do my stuff like with the energies, I actually feel a whole vibration going through. It almost like chills down that's how I know, like, okay, the channel's open for me. Is this goes down my spine, it goes right through my shoulders, mostly right here. And then the energy vibration comes through and the gateway opens, and it's like my higher self is tuning into the vibration of the energy of like Arcturus or Lyran or, you know, Pleiadian or whatever it is, and I allow that to come through. It's like we have to kind of step out of our own way, let whatever comes through come through. And it does go through almost like waves or ripples, or some people feel it differently in their head or opening up, but yeah, the sense of time is like, there is a sense of time. So I was like, came back, I like a little bit where you come back into the 3D and you're like, oh, okay, time.
Right.
You know, otherwise both of us could probably go on for 3 hours each, you know, if we didn't have a structure in some way.
So I'm curious, when you do your light language, do you actually know what they're saying when they have this?
That's a
Can you
great
actually
question.
interpret?
We'll both answer that differently, probably.
Yeah, so for me, some of it is star languages that I recognize because I've heard so many from other people and also myself. I can recognize, oh, this sounds Arcturian, or oh, this sounds Atlantean, or oh, this sounds like a dragon or Sasquatch or something, or Hathor. But I personally, everybody experiences this differently, just like everybody really learns differently. The problem in our society is that we're taught to learn the same, and we don't. We don't. Everybody hears differently. Some people are kinetic, some people are kinesthetic, or whatever. But I see pictures, and I'll get so it's not a literal translation for me, ever. And this is what we talked about. It's not in 3D, we think, okay, go down the street. It's all linear. Language is linear, time is linear, whatever. This is totally multidimensional. So I will see a picture and just say what I say, almost like an artistic expression. This is how I was trying to describe it to somebody the other day. It's like, you know, you paint in big strokes or you paint small. It's your interpretation. So in a way, we're not really, well, at least for me, I can only speak for myself because everybody does it differently. I'm not translating, I'm just, I feel an essence of something, but then I also get, like she was saying, big packets of information. I work on pretty high dimensions. I've been told also, like, it's bringing these levels of consciousness down from 66, 22 to the third dimension, where they're like wrappers. You got to unwrap them. So I see a code, and then I've learned through my guides how to go into that code, out of that code, and just kind of say what I see. So I'm sort of a witness, if you want to explain it that way. So sometimes they're literal, but it all depends on the context. If I'm talking to you right now, 2 seconds later, I could say the same light language outside and it would mean something very different because we're outside in that context, or you've changed, or I've changed, or something else, we're wearing different clothes. It's all contextual. So it can mean many different things, so I don't try to interpret it. I just try to show what I feel. But then for me also, my guides step aside and they're talking to me. While I'm talking to you, right now there's a guide, which is probably an aspect of me, telling me things about you that would be helpful. I'm talking to your people. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on simultaneously. So it's not just a one-line answer.
And it's true, it is different for everyone. I know when I started to speak light language, I started out doing translations right away. But my guidance upstairs was like, stop doing that. Okay, and the reason why they said that is because it's not because I was doing anything wrong. It's just, you know, it's natural for us to like want to translate everything because we don't understand what the hell's going on, so we want to translate it. But what they said to me for my stream is I'm a bridge. I do multidimensional translations in the other multi-dimensions a lot. Okay, so they said there you're doing a different role. There, I'm like a cross between, one of my roles anyway, one of my galactic roles is like a cross between Lieutenant Uhura and the new lady in Star Trek, what's her name? Deanna Troi, okay? So if you watch those things, I'm like a cross between that. So I'm doing a lot of translations up there. But down here, they said people aren't ready for that, okay? In terms of but somebody else's role might be different. So I don't want to say they're not ready for it. It's just that it's not my role to do it here. My role is to be the bridge, to bring the energy here. So people could start to have experiences, and then maybe later, maybe if I'm still on the planet in this incarnation, they might bring that back to do translations. But I will say I have Orion. The language I speak has given me one phrase that is a word-for-word translation, and it's a really powerful one, but they've given me that one phrase. That's it. And I can like, okay, this means that, and I can tell you what that means. But the rest of it is really all up to what is coming through, and then it's the energy more. Like she said, you could be in front of me, the 3 other people are right there. I said the same thing, and 4 other people are getting all different things from it. So that's another reason why they said to maybe curb the trying to translate it, because then we're funneling you what it's meaning when you're really getting something else.
It's really up to you to understand it. So people ask me all the time, like, tell me where my star, what star family I'm from, or what my origin is, or something. And I can say, I can tell you what I see, but really it has to come from you. Even the names, like I'm looking at you now, I'm hearing lots of names, but they're probably all these people that you've been. But I think this is the time that I'm getting, especially this is what my work is about, is you name yourself. You declare yourself. So I'm feeling this way or not. These beings are coming in. This is what this means to me. But this is what we're doing anyway. But it's less about a linear, logical interpretation. This is really multidimensional living. And I know, even when she was standing here with her eyes closed, she, to me, because I'm used to this energy, felt more present, even more than you know, waking state. So a lot of people think, oh, you go somewhere
trance or
off in a
something.
trance. No, she was very, very present.
Yeah, and I would say I'm more on the practical side of life. Just when I came into this world, to this incarnation, is very practical. So for me, I'm like, you know, can you imagine doing light language when you're a practical person? It's like, what the heck are you doing? I'm saying that to myself. Like, so you kind of have to get out of the mental stigma of like having to put it into a box and it makes sense and all these things. Otherwise, we would probably never have stepped out and done any of it, right? So I think we have to just allow it to be, allow us to be who it is, what it's doing. But I am getting like an overall message, I would say, like when it comes through overall. But I just won't go word for word except for that one phrase. This is an Orion phrase, okay? It is Beshesa besenel eb eratos, sentare memtos us veheratad. What that means is empower me with love throughout forever and in all dimensions.
Wow.
And by the way, Orions are not all the bad, evil ones that
None of
they've
them
made out
are.
to be. Some of them are because they've
but I mean,
defected
in
to the
each
dark side,
group.
yes, but not those, you know, but the ones that are the original Orions, which I talk about a lot, is just pure love. Very strong beings. They look kind of, you know, like strong, but they're very loving beings. And that's why they gave that phrase to share with people. They're not all the scary, you know, evil ones that people are portraying them out there. Putting the proper energetics or high frequencies around you. And I know for myself, I do that before I do anything, is before I'm channeling any of this. You guys may not necessarily see me go into like this whole, you know, trance to do that, but I'm putting I'm going into a high dimensional state. We put all the vibration of love around us, the light, energy, love, your higher self, the beings that you're already connected to that already put those sort of shields in place that come in, because we've experienced it. I've seen some other people that have jumper spirits come in when they're opening up to light language, or then just anything can come in. And if you're not holding that higher vibe, that higher frequency of light, in my opinion, that's what you do first. It's no different than, you know, you're meditating and everything like that. You could have anything come in if you don't have those, you know, shields around you while you're having your journeys or shamanic stuff. So that's kind of like, you know, I don't know, spirituality, light language 101 is just put that shield up around you before you bring in energies. At least that's how it is for me.
It's just like interacting with anybody. And if somebody's really hostile, you know, you have to temper how you're going to interact with them. If they're very open, you feel it. You know, I always just try to stay in my heart and just be in the right place. But there are negative energies. I feel them all the time, and you just kind of move around them, or, you know, ask them to go somewhere else or something. But, you know, what's fascinating, and I think I mentioned this to you, is I've seen so many people get inspired by each other. See, the thing, light language activates other light language. So I say, you know, people start talking immediately. I think this is what happens to me a lot when I do these sessions. People will jump in and just talk back. You know, it triggers something in them that they have already. But I do notice many people are spontaneously doing this because they're awakening, and everybody is affecting everybody. But I feel people's energy frequency signatures, and I can feel, just like I would feel somebody's more hostile or more approachable, I'll see people doing something and it'll be like there's just an energy behind it that doesn't feel right. And I'm not judging anybody. I'll just say, no, this isn't for me. You know, so it's about tempering those relationships.
Like people understand Reiki, and people do Reiki on animals. It's an energy. So I don't have an animal, so I can't say that I've done it on animals like my own. But when you're out in nature, right, talking to the birds in light language, it's the weirdest thing, but they literally know. They are very in tune. They speak their own language, but they're actually really in tune with us, the birds, the animals, you know, all the forest beings, the trees. For God's sakes, you know, you guys can talk to trees in light language.
Yes.
And they will, it's like a universal language. Now, a lot of the elemental languages will come into play when we're working with animals, at least for myself. That's when the elven and the fae come in and they start talking to the animals because they do really, really powerful healing work with the animals. So that's usually when they come in, but they will feel it. The animals will feel the light language energies. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. On my YouTube channel, I have tons of videos on my YouTube channel that activate people in light language. And one of them was the Lyran that I did earlier. And I've had so many people email me or send me messages that say, my cat was coming right up to the screen when you were doing that, and my cat was doing this, or my cat was doing that. So I can't even tell you, there's so many. So that's my experience. It's not my cat, but cats in general seem to really like the light language.
Yeah, I speak to animals all the time, you know, telepathically, energetically. There's a look, and this children too,
And
which is
kids.
really crazy. I'll go in the supermarket and all these kids will be like, they'll just come and they'll kind of stand by you. You know, it's vibration. You know, but yeah, all animals speak, all nature speaks this. It's the language of the universe. We're getting rid of these constructs. We're not gonna need this anymore. But I think what's happening is there's a huge movement of speaking and reading light. So you're talking about light technology. Light is energy. Light is filaments and movement and frequency and everything. So we're getting into that more. But all cultures, all nations, all animals, plants, energy.
Anyways, I have been, as of late, I'm speaking light language, and it comes very natural. I have, like you said, like I have no idea what I'm saying, but I know when I'm doing it, I feel my energy feels charged, and my animals, they love it. Like I have birds and a cat, and right away they're tweeting and talking to me, and my cat's right here by me. And then I'm also been really drawn to painting, like afterwards. Like I guess like they're codes, but I don't know what exactly I'm doing. I'm just doing like geometric like shapes and designs, and I have to use color, and I feel so much better after I'm doing it. So yeah, I'm just going with it. But the thing is, my partner is not, like, we're not on the same, I don't know how to say it, but like he doesn't understand what I'm doing. So it's an interesting situation, but I'm still gonna be who I am, and he accepts me, but he's not on that same vibe, if you know what I mean. So
Well, I have to say, you know, even though you have a partner that's not on necessarily the same exact page,
yeah.
you're actually activating him in a way that, you know, which is good, because I think people need to activate each other, and he may not be aware of it, because these codes and symbols that come through the art are very subliminal in a lot of ways. They're not intrusive, so you may be actually activating him, even though
Yay.
not like you don't know it, you don't see it, but it's happening slowly in the background, where he may just be getting some activation anyway, even if he doesn't understand what you're doing.
Right.
He's doing it.
I also want to just share,
Thanks.
just do it and don't worry about what it means, because this is how it started for me. I was just, my friend said, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, like, I know you can channel, and I'm handing me a piece of paper, and I'm, yeah, well, and then all of a sudden I heard somebody, and it just, you know, it opened up. So for anybody, don't worry if you don't do light language. It doesn't matter. People say, well, I can't do it, or I'm not talking it, or I don't understand, you know, I don't even do it. Doesn't matter. But whatever you're doing, just do it, because you will inform yourself what it means. It's really for you, you know, and then what you do with it, if you embed it with energy, if you're conscious, like we were talking about, it will affect everybody around you. It's alive.
It's
a
very therapeutic for you, because even you feel better afterwards. And
Yeah.
especially with color, I mean, color is like got energy and codes within it. Realize that, but it does. It has actual energy within the color. It's not just a my website is lightstarcreations.com, and on that site is just a plethora of stuff on there. But I have my oracle deck. It's called my Magical Dimensions Oracle deck, and I also have all my sessions. I do also custom codes, custom art, light code signature art. I'm also doing music, so I actually have light language and music built in that you can go and get activated through my music activations, and vision quests as well on there. And geez, what else do I have? my artwork.
Yeah.
So obviously you can go get my artwork. My attunement artwork is on there in many different formats. And like I said, I have starseed alignments, light language activations, a whole bunch of stuff on there. And you also can go to my website and sign up for my activation pack that signs you up for my email list, and you can get 7 wallpaper images for free and also a guided visualization for free. So that's something you guys can all get really goodies on there for your personal use.
I do light language sessions. You can find that out on my site, shakaratosha.com. Should be in the invite. They're pretty profound. I also add something called an energy frequency signature, where I will do a portrait, an energetic portrait, which is really evolving very quickly. I have prints available. I have an online book, but so much in the next 2 or 3 weeks is going to be rolled out. I'm starting to do webinars and courses and oracle cards, and I also have an oracle card deck. You can see this all on my site, but these were paintings that I downloaded and then messages from them, almost poetic. So there's only 13, but people can print them out and use them. And then there's an audio file for an hour that's like a meditation that goes along with it and explains that. But lots of stuff. If you can sign up for my newsletter, probably within the beginning of February, I'm going to roll out all of this stuff. Plus, I've been guided to write and publish lots of books. So I'm working on a final sampler about all the topics that I'm going to talk about, from all the guides, all the messages, and a little bit about my journey. So, you know,
I just want to say, when I first met her, she said, I have to sit down with you. And she started scribbling, and she said, oh yeah, these are the dolphins talking to you. Oh, this is your Lemurian name, blah, blah, blah. I have it to this day. The stuff you learn will be with you forever.